Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And today in this video, I'm going to show you how I apply my tips, build a small apex with clear, and do my clear base, and how I use peel base. So for this video, I used nail tips and glue, clear dip powder, dip liquids, peel base, medium grit file and buffer, a duster brush, paper towels, and a lint-free wipe. And then right here, I'm just showing you which products I used. I used Sparkle & Co. brand. It's my favorite and it's my go-to for all things nails. So definitely good quality and good product. It's worth the money. So first, right here, I'm showing you the tip. So typically when you use tips, you want to fit them slightly bigger than your nail bed or as close to your exact size as possible without being smaller. Otherwise, when you glue on and file, the tip will end up being too narrow. So you want to glue the tip typically about a quarter to a fifth of the way on your nail just towards the tip. But for this video, I used a full coverage nail, and so I'm gluing it farther down. And right here, just showing you how far down I glued it. And you want it to be the same width as your nail. You want it to be even, and then I'm just making sure it's secure on there. And for the glue, you just want a very thin line of glue in the nail tip and then press it on. Too much glue, it can seep out the sides and just be a big old mess that nobody wants. So I'm just pressing it down to make sure it's nice and fleur and flush with the nail. And here I'm just showing you how it lines up with the sides of the nail, making sure the tip is the right width for your nail. And then you're going to want to take a medium grit file and file the lip where the tip meets your natural nail, where you get that little bump. You want to file it as flush as possible to your nail without over buffing your natural nail. If you can, avoid buffing the natural nail at all with a file, but if you do, it's really not that big of a deal. Just be careful not to push too hard. You just want to focus on buffing out that ledge where the tip is, and then get it as flush as possible. And also, after you file and buff it out, this is a good time to trim the tips down if they're too long for you, or to shape them and file them in the desired length and shape that you're going for. This one, since it's already a coffin, pretty good coffin shaped tip, I'm just going to keep going with that shape since I'm just showing you an example. Next week, I will do my natural nails and I'll do this whole process again so you can see how I do it on my nails. But in the video, it's just easier to keep that shape. So I'm just making sure my edges are lined up and then I get that nice, even coffin shape that I'm going for. Just filing the nails a little bit more, defining that, tip of the nail as best I can. And I'm just evening out the tip and making sure that it's nice and even. And when you're filing, take your time, make sure that it's nice and even. And then right here, this is me trying to show you that you want the center of your tip to be center with your nail bed. And sometimes you could use the straight edge of your file and line it up just to make sure that you're centered. You don't want an uneven or off to the side nail. You want it nice and straight. And once you're happy with your shape, go ahead and take some pH prep and put it on just your natural nail and not the tip. Your tips are fake. They don't get oily, so it's not needed. And also, I would recommend putting pH prep on after you prep your nails and before putting on the tips. It'll help your tips stay longer without lifting. And also, before you put on your pH prep, go ahead and buff the surface of your tip. You don't have to, do anything perfect or anything like that. You just want to give your base something to hold on to. So you just want to rough up the surface a little bit, make sure you get rid of all the shiny spots. And then after that is where you would put on your pH prep just on your natural nail. Like I said, it doesn't need it on the tips. There's no point to put it there. Just try to dehydrate the natural nail the best you can before putting on your base. It'll just help prevent your clear base from lifting and all that fun stuff. And I know we're going to put on peel base, but just to ensure that clear and the tip stays on as long as possible, and with the no lifting, you want to make sure you dehydrate. And you also want to use that buffer block and just rough up your natural nail too. You don't want to over buff, so if you don't have much grow out and they're already buffed, you don't even need to do that. I just do it just to make sure that my clear dip sticks to it. So now we're going to build our apex with our clear dip powder. I'm just doing a small one. The shorter your nail, you don't really need much of an apex, but apex is the highest point of your nail and is typically structured over the stress point of your nail. It helps them last, it helps them from breaking, keeps them on balance, and all that good stuff. And so what I do is I take a very thin amount right where the nail and the tip meet, and don't get it on the tip, just on the nail itself. And you want to do a very thin line, leaving the sidewalls free, and then dip into your clear. And this will help also prevent that weird bump from applying the tip. And then go ahead and dust off the extra powder. And then we're going to go back in with another coat. And this coat, you want to just aim towards the center of your nail, stay as centered as possible. And what you're going to do is stay away from the sidewalls, leave a couple millimeters between the sidewalls and the center. And you don't want to go, I would say about 3/4 down, like, 3/4 away from the cuticle line. And you can go all the way up to the tip. And this, for me, just gives you that, nice shape and structure that you want in a nail. You don't want them super flat. I mean, rock them how you want them, but this is just how I personally help build my apex. So just kind of keep it towards the center of the nail, not going quite to the sidewalls. Dip it in clear again, making sure to cover the whole nail. Tap off your extra, and then after it dries for a sec, go ahead and brush off the extra clear powder. Okay, and now I'm going in one more time, and this layer I'm going to cover my entire nail, stopping about a millimeter or so away from your cuticle. And you're going to paint the whole nail, sidewalls and everything. And then you're going to dip it into your clear. And also try to keep these layers fairly thin. Like, you don't want them super thick because then you're going to end up with a thick nail. So keep them pretty thin. And then you're going to dip back into your clear, tap off the extra, and then dust off the extra. And it's important to brush off the extra powder because then you're not transferring powder back into your base bond and you're not going to get a lumpy nail. And here I'm just showing you that nice arch, the nice curve, good structure that the clear gives. And you can't even see, well, except on the side, but other than that, on the nail itself, you can't even see where it meets the nail. Like, the tip is completely flush with it. And then you're going to go ahead and apply your coat of Solidify. And I do Solidify now because I want it to soak in through all of these layers. If I wait and do my colors and then Solidify, it's not going to soak all the way down, and you're going to get lifting and crappy nails. Then you want to wait about 30 seconds till your powder is hard, and then you're going to go in with your medium grit file and make sure the sides are even and buff the surface up. Clear lays really flat, so you might not even need to buff it. I personally do because I want it to be as smooth as possible for when I apply peel base. So just buff it and make sure your sides are nice and even, your shape's good. And after that, you're going to do a thin coat of Solidify. So I'm going in with my coat of Solidify, and for this coat, you really need a thin coat. You don't need to completely saturate or soak the nail. The more you do, the longer you need to wait for it to dry. So just do a thin coat, and I would wait about 1 to 2 minutes after to apply your peel base, because you don't want your peel base to get solidified back into that bottle. I don't know if it'll ruin the peel base liquid bottle or not. And here you have the finished nail with your clear base and your clear built apex. So you got your structure down, and honestly, sometimes I do my nails like this, and then I leave them and then do my color the next day because they have the dip powder on them, so they're strong and not going anywhere. So nice and flush and good to go. And also I do this clear base because it helps build a solid nail. It helps the tip stay on, and then it helps prevent from having to soak off. You can just file down to your clear layer and touch up whenever you need to. Because I don't like to soak off unless I have to. So just a tip. And now that Solidify is dry, you're actually going to go in with a lint-free wipe or paper towel, whatever you have, and you're going to wipe off your nail. So that way, just making sure that all the extra Solidify that could be hanging out on your nail is off of there so you don't contaminate your peel base brush. Then you're going to go in with your peel base, and you want to do a somewhat thin coat, about 3/4 down your nail. I don't go all the way to the tip with this first layer. You're going to cover your entire surface of the nail, sides and everything. Just go about 3/4 down your nail. And you're going to let that dry once you're done. And then we're going to go ahead and go in with a second coat. And the second coat of peel base, excuse me, you want to make it a little bit thicker, but not thick. You want to keep them closer to the thin side. And this one, you're going to go pretty much all the way to your cuticle, not quite all the way down, just a little bit farther down than last time. And you're going to cover the whole nail again, and then you're going to let it dry. And then also I noticed, like when I was painting it, because I went kind of fast, I got a little on my skin, and you can just take an orange stick and go around your cuticle line and it comes right off, or wait for it to dry and just peel it off. That's the whole point of peel base. And once that's dry, you're going to go in with your third and final layer of peel base. And this time I'm going all the way to the cuticle, staying about 1 millimeter away so I don't get it on the skin. Even though if you do, it's not even an inconvenience because it peels right off. But just to cover your whole nail, make sure you get every spot so it's nice and even. And then you're going to let that dry again. And once it dries, you can go in with your color. And I like to do it this way in between the clear and the color, because if it pops off, your clear stays on and so do your tips, so you don't have to redo your tips every time. I've had the same tips on doing this for over a month now, so 4 manicures. Thank you for watching. I hope this helps. Please like and subscribe to my channel and comment and let me know what videos you want to see. Deuces and smooches.